November 2020, we go play the video for get together or December or January or not. Ah
Yes.
God.
Ó wá lọ bọ́ sí àwọn time tó máa sọ pé Ember kìíní.
So
All this Ember.
God I beg.
My whole world, everything I was thinking before that time collapsed in front of me. Okay, so it happened November 20 when we went to the hospital. But before then, she has been having this complaint about her stomach, the lower part of her stomach, and all of that. And she could not use the toilet, she could not eat. I mean, nothing was going down. Basically, lost my appetite. I couldn't even go to the toilet, I couldn't use the toilet. So I was feeling a lot of discomfort. It was crazy. One of the Sunday services that I attended, I couldn't do anything. I sat down. I think Henry noticed. And then he didn't know what was going on with me. I just told him I wasn't feeling good. I wasn't feeling well.
So we're in church prepping for the service, and I saw Sarah moving somehow, and I just felt it in my spirit that something was wrong. I didn't ask her what happened actually. I just started praying for her, and during the prayers, I don't know, but I think so. If I can remember very well, I just felt this burden lifting, or it lifted. You get, so I just felt like, oh, normal stomach pain, and it's gone.
But the usual me was, the girl who would jump, scream during praise and worship. It was so annoying because I just couldn't stand up from where I was in the media stand. I just sat down. That was so unlike me. But yeah, the pain became very intense when I got home. It became very, very intense. And after I had used some things, I used, at first, I was told to deworm. I had to go to the pharmacy, got deworming medicine, 2 kids, yet I couldn't use the toilet. And at some point, I was told to use agbo jedi, if you don't know, herbal concussion for, is it running stomach now? Whatever it is. But then you get the point. For those who know agbo jedi, I took it and then I started purging, but nothing was coming out. But my stomach was very upset. And I started having a lot of things, a lot of feelings. I couldn't explain them. Still, I couldn't walk down the stairs. And I was just not eating well. Everything was wrong, right? After a while, I was told to go to the hospital. I didn't want to go. I mean, I don't like hospital environment. You get to see sick people every time. I hate it. Seeing people in their weakest state. It gets me more than whatever took me there, right? So I didn't want to go. I battled with it for a while. And then I just wanted to now go so that it won't be like, oh, a lot of people asked me to go to the hospital and I didn't go. Or another reason was that I just wanted to go so that I could take some medications prescribed by a medical personnel, right? So it won't be like I've been going to the pharmacy and doing self-medication. So I decided to go. And when I got to the hospital, I had to see the doctor. The doctor said a lot of medical jargons that got me scared. One of it was that when he asked me to, lie on the bed, he was pressing my stomach. I gave him everything. I told him everything that was wrong with me. And then I remember the doctor said something, because he was friendly and we were just joking and vibing and all of that. I remember he pressed my lower stomach. I don't know, maybe, do they call it lower abdomen? The thing is, a lot of medical jargons. I don't even know some of these words. So after pressing it, I was, he would press it and I would feel sharp pains. And then I was looking at him because at some point it became funny to me. And then he was like, and then immediately he said that his countenance changed. I felt like I saw something on his face. It seems like this is serious. I tried to ignore it, but I couldn't just wave it because he said it in the most unfriendly and concerning tone I'd seen him that day. So he said, oh, that he suspects some things, but he wants us to run a test. That was the first shocker of my life. I think it was 17.5. I can't remember the amount now, but around that amount for tests and scans. He got me scared because why? What was wrong with me that I would need a scan that would cost that much?
Remember that the doctor at the second hospital said that she has to be pressed before he could do the scan and all of that. So she had to drink water, like not just one water, not two, not three, not four. So she had to drink water. She go inside. The doctor said she's not pressed enough.
And then we went, and thank God because my friend was working in the hospital, and I also have one of my big aunties working there. So miraculously, I didn't get to pay a dime. All the bills were sorted in ways that I cannot even explain, right? I still cannot explain. I don't know how everything was paid. I did the scan, I ran the tests. And then my big auntie that was working in the hospital, while the person in the lab was also examining me and putting all the that thing that is very cold when they put in your stomach. At first it was soothing, but then I didn't know trouble was coming. So, they started touching my stomach with that thing and they started scanning.
In fact, I was like, we just came here to get drugs. What's all this putting something on your stomach and all of that? So
normally I'll just drink, one sachet of water, right? I won't be able to do much, especially when I'm eating and drinking the water. I'll be so filled. That person, that same me who would struggle to finish one pure water, drank more than 6 sachet of water. So that was, I don't want to say traumatizing, but that was hard because after drinking it, I wasn't pressed. I had to be walking around, do some activity just to be pressed. And when we got there, he said I wasn't pressed enough, sent me back. We did that for about 3 times. And then my big auntie that was there with me and then Blessing was also with me in the hospital. I noticed that when I was told to enter the scan room the second time, she was already looking somehow. She was texting someone. I suspect she was texting my sister, right? So she was already doing all of that. And I wanted to ask Blessing to spy on her because at that point, I didn't know anything. I didn't know anything was going on. I just wanted to just do tests, do the scan, and just get out and take my drugs, right? So I suspected she was doing something, and she was looking very serious. But Blessing, I couldn't tell Blessing before I went in the 3rd time. So after going in the 3rd time, the doctor did a lot of examining, it took time.
The doctor did the normal checking and we had to go for a series of tests. We did a full blood count, a malaria parasite test, a urinalysis, and also an abdominal pelvic scan. So the scan showed that it's an acute appendicitis with suggested perforation. So the scan revealed that the appendicitis had already been perforated. So at that point,
Then my bigger auntie, Auntie Mario, I didn't say anything to her until we got out. And then she said, this is serious, so we'll have to spend money. She said it in Yoruba, that this is expensive. So, and I'm like, what are you talking about? And she said,
So my phone rang and it was our medical practitioner, Emmanuel. So he was saying that Sarah was saying something like running away or so, that something happened that she wants to run away. I'm like, what happened? He said, he will call me back, that I should not let her leave. I said, I'm in the office where I want you understand? So he called me later on and said, oh, she was diagnosed of appendicitis. And I was like, wow, lovely.
I'm someone who had experience with appendix. While growing up, my mind reflected on those days while younger, and now with, how the thing came, all of those, and I was lucky then. I think it was at early stage, and so we didn't really perform they didn't do any surgery or stuff, and I just took drugs and all of those. But at that night, when I got the news, I was like, wow, Sarah, my senorita. So it was shocking.
This one can happen to my Sarah. Come on.
Said, yeah, I was just laughing. I was laughing because she didn't give me details. Then she said, you think I'm joking? Me Shere. She said that, and she was like, I've already texted Bosse. She said she had already texted my sister, and then they shouldn't tell my mom. That's where I knew things were getting very intense, right? And I was not asking her that, what does she mean by it's very expensive? And she said 3. Was it 3 she said, or 300? And when she said 300, I'm like, what is 300? I was asking Blessing, please, what is the meaning of 300? And then she said, the surgery. Oh God.
I was scared because I know how much is to do an appendicitis operation. So we took the scan report to the doctor, and the doctor said everything he could say, saying that she would have to stay in that hospital that day, that very day. So the next day we could proceed with the operation. I was so scared because Sarah happens to be my friend, and at that point, being the fact that I work in the hospital, I know the pain and the trauma they all go through at the end of the operation and everything. Because after that, you'd have to stay for a period of 4 to 5 days, knowing the kind of food you eat and everything.
She said the surgery would cost 300,000. It wasn't funny. I couldn't laugh that day. I couldn't laugh. It was shocking. And then she said that she had told Bosse so that I would know how to get the money for the surgery. My whole world, everything I was thinking before that time collapsed in front of me. I couldn't think about anything else. And then she said that she has spoken with Bosse, and then I have to talk, like my sister called, and then she was asking, what's wrong? What's happening? And I was telling her that this is what Auntie Mayowa said the scan result is. And she was what she said was actually what got to me, because before that time, I got the news, but I wasn't taking it as seriously until she said something. Then my son was like, so she said, whew. So my sister said that I shouldn't worry. She said I shouldn't worry, that even if she has to go and borrow, that will get the surgery done. That was where I knew there was trouble. That was where I knew there was problem, because an hour before that time, I didn't think I would do anything that would require surgery. And then I knew how buoyant my sister was at that point. It was just sad. Then I began to cry. I didn't cry. I didn't just cry. I began to wail. And then Blessing, who didn't know what I was saying on phone, joined me. And then we both started crying. And then my sister on the other end from the phone started crying, trying to console me in between. We started crying. Hey, I couldn't remember what led to the crying, but we started crying. And at a point, Pastor called and he was asking that, why are we crying? Don't we have faith again? That's why did we even believe the results and all of that? It was just a lot. I didn't know I was going to require surgery. And then one of the things the doctor said was that the appendix, was already perforated. And then he even said that I needed to stay in the hospital that day, that he needed to admit me, because if I move, whichever way I move, I might just burst. And then he said a lot of things. He said a lot of things about the danger of not doing that immediately. In fact, I advised I would just stay in the hospital. So we went back to him with the scan result and everything. And then, we told him we had to consult the remaining family members. And I don't know if it was Monday we went or Tuesday. And we told him we'll probably do the surgery on Thursday. Gang, 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 gang. It wasn't funny. I was, I wasn't there with everybody. I don't know if, like, my mind was already calculating. I was this kind of person that worries, and when I'm worried, I do a lot of logical calculation in my head. I was already imagining how my mom would be told and how she'd be worried. That bruised me. That it was worse than what I was feeling at those moments. I couldn't still walk well. I couldn't stand well without feeling pain. But the pain that I felt about how sad the news was to the people I care about crushed me. I remember I couldn't sleep that night. I had my friends, everybody around, and when it was time to sleep, I didn't sleep. My mind was just traveling around. I was imagining the operation. I was imagining how they would tear my stomach. I was just imagining recovery process. I was imagining everything. I was worried. I was worried about every single detail. I would lie down there and I would remember everything the doctor had said, word for word. Now I can't remember. But then I would remember how he said it, his facial expression. My sister had to rush down from the island that night. I know everybody was scared.
I couldn't look at her eyes. I was just like, wow.
I was just worried because I didn't know what was going to happen next. The fact that 2 days, after then I have to do a surgery. At some point I remember I had to go and give somebody in the hospital who had done the same surgery. I had to go and give him pap. We just had to support. Mommy T wanted me to go there. All right. So when I took it to him, I saw the state he was in. And then they said it was appendicitis. And then I think they said his appendix had burst. I think so. And then it was critical. I knew, I was just on that bed. I was just remembering his face. I was remembering everything that was around that day. Everything that was worth thinking about was what I was thinking about. It was crazy. So fast forward, Pastor called us that day while we were still in our teary state. And then he said something very profound that I can't forget. We'll never forget. So while we're crying, and Auntie Maiwa told him, Pastor Bright, Auntie Maiwa spoke with Pastor Bright on phone, while we told him everything that was happening, we, sent him the scan result and all of that. He spoke with us on phone and he said, do you know that results change? Do you know that these results change? And he said, why you guys, Pastor Bright meant myself and Blessing, why are we acting like we don't have faith? Don't we know that this is the time that we're supposed to exercise our faith? All what he said was so profound. I knew them, but at that point, I was so scared. I was so disconnected. I should have reasoned. I should have given it a deeper thought, probably. But I didn't have the strength. I'll just be sincere. I was just weak. All the news, everything had weakened me.
In life, when things like this happen, as Christians, we listen to the word of faith, and but the issue we have as Christians is that we don't, enact these words, and I think that was one of the issues that we faced. We did not actually take action, and we had every advantage. We had all the advantages. So I got home and immediately went to our place and saw that they are back from the hospital and all. I was just nonchalant about it. I don't know. I just felt that way. I didn't take it too serious. Maybe that was my spirit just telling me that it's nothing. But at the same time, I could have prayed about it. But then,
at some point when we were together, I was having this prompting let's lead prayer. Let's just have a brief moment of prayer and things like that. Not just for the religiousness or things, but as much as I was having the promptings and things like that, I didn't take the step. My bad.
we did not. Fast forward to the following day, drove her down to the hospital. She was going to go for another test because she said our lead pastor said she should, go for another test because it's possible that that report is not correct. Yeah, so which I was so happy about it that yes, at least somebody said something like this.
And after he said all of those things, he was still checking on us, and he didn't agree with the result. That was one thing that was so clear that day. From the time we told him, he said, we needed another opinion with the scan, the result of everything. And then he sent the results to Dr. Peter. Dr. Peter, asked how I was doing, and I was able to talk. So Dr. Peter also said that, like, he wasn't sure that, because if it was appendicitis and it has perforated like the result said, that I won't be able to talk to him the way I was talking. I'll probably be weak and all of that. So he said he didn't agree. So we all agreed that the next day we'll go and see the MD of the hospital, like a senior man in the hospital, the owner of the hospital, with years of experience, So we went the next day, presented the results to the MD, and the MD said, okay, he has seen the results. And then he asked to examine me, went on the bed again, he examined me, the same pains were still intact. And then he said that, I don't know if I should call this the best news that I had heard in 3 days, right? After the scan result has shattered a lot of things. So he said he's not seeing anything like appendicitis here. I was just shocked. Jesus Christ. Because my mind was, is this man joking with me? Like, are you guys playing with me? And then he said he's not seeing anything appendicitis, that what he saw was a urinary tract infection. And he said something very funny because he's a jovial person. He said, except you people want to pay for the for the surgery, and maybe you don't mind paying for the surgery, but that what he's seeing here is urinary tract infection, and that he will treat me for 3 days, and I'd have to take some medications, place me on some medications, and that after 3 days, if it persists, then we can now do the surgery. Brethren, I have to come close to the camera. Before 3 days, the pains had gone. What kept running in my head was, like, if I don't tear my belly, and that will still not be the problem. And then it clicked that the results changed. I didn't have to go through the surgery. They didn't have to cut me. And then, that taught me a lot. Just those few days taught me so much about how the devil would bring, would present some things, exaggerate things for us, and then gets us into a position where we're scared, or we're losing strength, or where we can no longer think, or even, I couldn't pray, I couldn't do so many things. I was just there, I was just living to see the next day. Let's just do this surgery and be over with it. I couldn't pray, I couldn't do so many things. I remember, when we got home that day, after we got the result, and, Blessing laid a hand on my stomach, because that's where I've been complaining. And then she began to pray, and I was looking at her. It touched me, right? That action touched me, but I was sorry for her, that she was in so much pain. Like, I felt like she was angry, that was happening to me at that moment. It really touched me. But then it felt like the devil actually played on our minds, and then made my friends go through those emotions. I hated those emotions till today. Like, I never want them to feel sad. So the fact that there was a situation that made everybody like that messed with me. Really, it did. But yeah, I learned that sincerely God is faithful, and then he looks out for his own, and then he came through. The result changed. It's a testimony I will never forget. I didn't have to. In fact, it was just few injections and then some tablets, and I'm fine. It was not rigorous anything. It was exaggerated.
We could have done better in some ways, yeah. And one of the things I realized that there's this thing that over familiarity can cause, you know. So it's when it comes to spirituality, you shouldn't hold back on what the spirit is saying to you part time. You know, it might be delivering a soul. You know, who knows? Maybe if any of us have gotten a prompting before 2 days or maybe weeks before, she could have been, you know, averted from those kind of pains and all of those all leading to it. So I got to know that yeah, there's this over familiarity. You might have experienced it as well in friendship, and you know, you just feel like, okay, the spirit is saying something now. But you're like, I will not say this one now, this one now.
You know, it taught me what changed for me was that now I have responses. And this is what I mean. The devil will keep trying, I know. Right? He will keep trying. But I have responses now. And when I'm weak, I know that God is my strength. When I'm in pains, I know that he will heal me. I mean, that's what his stripes were for. He took lashes for my lashes. He took every pain from my pains. So when I accept that he has done that and have faith that he will heal me, he definitely will. Because I know how many people were praying for me, doing a lot for me.
And I said the prayer points that day. I said, Lord, you know that this thing is not what you promised us. So we know that our faith can make this result change. So I prayed that day, and my mom asked me that, who are you praying for? And I told her that I was praying particularly for Sarah. And she said, whatever the case is, that she just have faith and be rest assured.
And now maybe when I'm sad or anything, I know that the joy of the Lord is my strength. So that's my testimony. That's it.
It was a eye opener for me, and don't resist, just do your thing. The healing is not from you, of course. It's not, you know, you're like an errand sent on assignment. Just do your assignment. You get. We believers are being brought up in a way that we know God to be our protector, yeah, our shepherd, and all of those things. And it looks like we are untouchable. Looks like we are maybe not superhuman being, but we have this sense of consciousness that no weapon fashioned against us will prosper. But yeah, there are times where you go through adversity, yeah, and it's not like God left you in those moments. It's not like God has turned his back against us, yeah. It's just, it could be a season, yeah, and our consolation is that he is our present help, and we will need a lot of strength, not just for the days when we are strong. Yeah, we will need a lot of strength, not just for the days where we are strong, but we also need stamina in the days where we are falling, in the days where everything seems like it's going against our plans. I learned a lot, and it was really a journey and a test of faith for all of us.
Actually showed up for us in terms of the result changing.
Wow. Victory is ours.